Hi, welcome back to another video. So, I can't believe it's the end of 2023. It has absolutely flown by. I don't know where the time's gone, but welcome to 2024 and Happy New Year. Hope you had lovely holidays. Now, as customary, what I usually do is I do a little bit of a summary about gaming in 2023. So, I'm going to discuss a few of the pickups that I've got that I'm really happy with, games that I've played that I've really enjoyed, and just some general bits about my gaming in 2023. So in total I've played 23 games that I've actually completed the stories of. I had a few that I was really trying to get finished but I just couldn't get around to it in the end. But yeah, I've played a really great variety of games. I've played modern and retro. I've got around to finishing quite a few retro games as well, which I'll talk about later. But for now, we'll talk about modern games. So I completed Sackboy: A Big Adventure. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this game before, but it's a really, really super fun platformer. It's really different to the other Little Big Planets. It's more of like a top-down diagonal kind of perspective. But it's really, really fun. Great platforming. If you liked those games, you will really enjoy this one, but it's a nice little change from the previous ones. And yeah, just super fun. Made me feel like a little kid playing this game. Now, some others that I won't go into too much detail because I covered them in my PlayStation 5 video, which you can watch up here somewhere. So Spider-Man Miles Morales. If you enjoyed the other Spider-Man game, you will definitely enjoy this. Really great game, great story. Just love the mechanics of the game swinging through New York. And Miles Morales is a really great addition to the Spider-Man universe. He's a really great character. I really enjoyed his story and his character arc. And yeah, just a really, really great game and enjoyed this so much. Didn't take long to play either. It's not a super long game. So it's definitely a good one to have in your collection if you have a PlayStation 5. Then the next one I played is Horizon Forbidden West, which is the sequel to the first game. Really great game, absolutely stunning game. It's got really fun mechanics with the bow and arrow and all the other weapons that you can have. There's a really, really good story in there that you can sort of really deep dive into, but there's also lots of collectibles and things to do within the game. Really enjoyed the new characters that were introduced into the game as well. And it's an absolutely stunning world to explore. Really, really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the next one, which I think we will be getting. But yeah, again, if you want to see more of a deep dive into it, then watch my PlayStation 5 video. Another two is obviously the new Like a Dragon games. Now, we were blessed with having two this year. So we got Ishin first, which is the historic one. So it's in the samurai era. You're playing as one of Kiri's ancestors. What a great game. It's so much fun. I loved being in the historic Kyoto. It's such a nice addition to it. I really hope we get more historical ones like this, spin-offs of the main series. Really great game. It had all the fun bits that I enjoy about Yakuza games. So it had all the fun mini games, but also like the dramatic side stories. Yeah, just all the silly side stories and the really dramatic crime drama theme that runs throughout all of the stories. Has everything that you would ever love about Like a Dragon game, but historical. So yeah, really enjoyed this. Good place to start if you've not played any Like a Dragon games as well. So yeah, definitely recommend. And another PlayStation 5 game that I absolutely completely forgot to mention in my PlayStation 5 video, which I'm very sad about, was Stray. Now this is the first game I completed in the year, and it's such a great little game. I absolutely adored this game, and I definitely will replay this at some point. It's not a very long game. I think it will take you maximum 10 hours to play. You're playing as the perspective of a cat, and you are going through a cyberpunk world trying to figure out what's happening, what's gone on, and there's loads of robots around and you can talk to them and interact with them. The world is so beautiful. It's really, really detailed. I just absolutely loved exploring it. You can climb up walls, you can scratch posts, you can kind of rub against sort of the robot's legs, you know, in a typical cat fashion. Absolutely beautiful game. Really, really, really enjoyed this game, and the story was surprisingly moving as well. So I can't recommend this enough, especially if you love the cyberpunk aesthetic. It's a more relaxed game. It does have a few tense bits in it, but not much at all. But it's a really, really good cozy game to play, and yeah, I absolutely recommend it. Can't recommend it enough. Definitely give this one a play. So now we finally get on to the retro section of what I've completed. Now, I feel like I completed a lot more, but actually I didn't. So I completed 4 retro games. So first off was Outrun. Obviously not a very long game at all. If you know me, you know I absolutely adore Outrun. Basically you have different stages that you have to get through. It really only takes about a half an hour to an hour to complete, but it is quite tricky towards the end. But really great game. I never tire of this game. It's got a lot of replayability value for me because I just love the atmosphere in this game. I love the colours, I love the music, and I like the simplicity of this game. It's such a lovely sort of atmospheric game. But yeah, that was one of them. So these are all quite different. So I had a few different PlayStation 2 games. So the first one was Bully, which is called Canem Edit in the UK because it wasn't allowed to be called Bully, but whatever. Yeah, Bully, I finally got around to playing it. Absolutely loved this game. I thought all the different gameplay mini games in there with going to class and all those things, they were really, really cool. I loved it. The story was a little bit bonkers. There was a couple of frustrating bits towards the end. Some things with like the slingshot where you had to get it just right, otherwise you couldn't complete the mission. Got a bit frustrating, but you kind of expect that with older games. It's kind of part and parcel of it. But yeah, absolutely great game. I am so pleased I finally got to play it. It's been in my collection for ages and I've really been meaning to play it. And I really hope we get a remake of this someday because it's such a great game, or a sequel. It's such a great game and very much testament to the PlayStation 2 era, which I think is probably one of the best eras of gaming, you know, at least for my opinion. But yeah, it's really, really great game. Loved it to bits, and yeah, definitely recommend playing it if you haven't already. Not super long, it's maybe about 12 hours, but you can make it more if you want to play more of the side missions and stuff. So yeah, really, really great game. Next up, so you might not know this, but I used to absolutely adore The Sims. So I finally got around to playing Sims 2 Castaway. Now, I used to play Sims on my really terrible little laptop when I was growing up. I didn't actually grow up with consoles, so I didn't have it on the PlayStation 2. So yeah, I grew up with just a laptop that I played The Sims 2 on, and I was absolutely addicted to it. And I played the PC version of Sims 2 Castaway, which I think is the best one. But Sims 2 Castaway on the PS2 is also really fun. It's not the most amazing game ever. It's kind of a bit glitchy. It's very, very slow, which a lot of the older Sims games do struggle with. And it's kind of like a resource gathering game. There's not a huge amount of things to do in the actual game, but if you like The Sims, you'll probably enjoy it. It's not a super long game. I really thought it was fun. It's got all the silly Sims 2 humour in it, and yeah, it was a super fun game to play, and I'm glad I finally got a chance to play it. Next up, another game that I've been meaning to play for ages that I'm so glad I got to is Rez. Now, Rez was a bit of a wild card game. I had no idea what it was about. I just knew lots of people told me to play it, and I knew it was basically a kind of rhythm game. Now, this game, great. It's so, so good. I really love this game. It's got those rhythm-based mechanics in it. You're kind of just dodging things and shooting at things. It's not complicated in any shape or form, but there's no need for the music to go so hard in these games. Really, really great music. I could definitely just listen to the music on its own. It's got this really cool sort of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like this futuristic kind of 90s envisioning of computers and what it looks like to be inside a simulation almost. It's a bit matrixy looking. But yeah, super cool. So many fun colours. Like the aesthetic of the game is wild. It's all over the place, but it's really, really cool. Like I definitely recommend playing this game because I don't think there's anything really quite like it. And yeah, it's just one of those games that I thought was really, really interesting and fun to play. And yeah, like I said, it's quite unique and there's definitely nothing else that I've played that's similar to it. So get it if you can. It's still really cheap, very easily available on the PlayStation 2. So give it a go. So next up is a game that I finally got around to playing, a game series that I kind of enjoyed but I never really played much of, is Kirby. Now, I have actually managed to finish 5 Kirby games this year, which I'm really pleased with, and yeah, I just got completely addicted to the games. I really, really love Kirby. I've completely fallen in love with it. I've become a little bit obsessed, I have to admit, but it all started off with playing Forgotten Land. Now, obviously Forgotten Land is actually quite different from a traditional Kirby game, but it's still got all the fun mechanics that you would expect from a Kirby game, like sucking things up and becoming those objects like a car or a cone or whatever it is. But I completely fell in love with the mechanics of the game. Really, really love it. Kirby is so cute, but the gameplay is really, really satisfying. It's not too difficult, but it's got fun little puzzles that you have to get around. It's a bit more 3D than the previous games. It's more of like a top-down diagonal viewpoint, whereas the other one's more like side-scrolling, but love this. It's such a great addition to the game. It's got some really, really great little mini games that you can play as well. And yeah, I just absolutely adored this game. I cannot recommend it enough. And yeah, it started off my obsession with all the Kirby games, which will take me on to the next games. So then following on from Forgotten Land, I then went and got Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which is obviously a newer release. And again, absolutely loved this game. It's definitely more of like a traditional Kirby game, which I realised very quickly. And yeah, I absolutely adored this game. It's got everything you could love about it, but you've got more different powers. You've got a fun little hub where you can go and play all these different mini games. There are so many mini games to play. I could have played hours and hours just of the mini games, and it's just so beautifully designed. It's so fun. I don't really know what else to say about it. I loved all the different actions that you could have. I personally think out of all the ones that I've played, this is probably one of my favourite Kirby games. So I know a lot of people have really enjoyed this one, so I definitely recommend. And then I went on to my 3DS. So I finally resurrected my Nintendo 3DS. It's been in my drawer for years and I've hardly touched it. I just don't have many DS games that I really wanted to play, but Kirby has got me back into the 3DS, which is really great because it could have done with being resurrected. So the first one that I got around to playing was Triple Deluxe. So this one reminded me a lot of Return to Dreamland, another really, really great game, very, very similar to Triple Deluxe. Really, really beautifully done. I think, again, probably one of the best Kirby games around. I think it's definitely the best on the 3DS. Just a really, really amazing game. Super fun, not super long. Nothing was overly challenging to the point of being too frustrating, which is something that I can really appreciate about the Kirby games. They can be challenging, but they're never like silly difficulties. So yeah, really great game. Definitely recommend getting, and it's not too pricey on the 3DS still. I then got around to Planet Robobot. Now, this was just as great. It pretty much is the same kind of game as Triple Deluxe, but you have a mecha suit. Now, I loved this addition to the game. I thought it was so fun. It's really different to sort of any of the other mechanics that you have in the other games. And yeah, it's not too different. It's got all the same sort of gameplay mechanics that you enjoy in the Kirby games, but you have this mecha suit and you can get different power-ups for it, and it's just amazing. It makes you feel really overpowered. And it does it in a really, really great way. There's lots of fun little puzzles that you have to do, and it really encouraged me to go back and try and like fully explore all the levels and try and get all the different power-ups in it. And yeah, it was such a great game. I really, really enjoyed it. The only thing was the boss was really, really long, and I found it really challenging at times, and it got very trippy towards the end. Like really, really trippy. But yeah, really, really great game. Can't recommend it enough. It's really hard to pick out which one was my favourite out of all of these. I loved them all for different reasons, but Planet Robobot is definitely one that is a bit different. So if you want something that's a little bit different to the other ones, this is definitely one to get. It's a bit pricey on the 3DS compared to the other ones, but I think there's a good reason for that because it is a really great game. Last and probably least, to be honest, is Battle Royale. Now, I just finished this one a couple of days ago. It definitely isn't my favourite game. It's probably my least favourite out of all of them, and it's completely different to any Kirby game. Now, this one, instead of it being sort of a traditional platformer, it's more of you have these little mini game battles that you go through, and you can only take one power up into them, and that's the skill that you have for that whole level. There was quite a lot of different mini games in it. They were very fun, but that was it. That was the game. You go through different levels from bronze to platinum, and you fight your way through them, and then you have the boss. So it's really completely different. I think it really tried to lean into multiplayer. Obviously, that doesn't really work as soon as the console is old and not being played anymore, so a lot of the levels are not really relevant anymore unless you're going to play like multiplayer with a co-op, you know, a local co-op. So a lot of the game is just not really playable anymore. The actual storyline, it's fine. It just was lacking story, basically. There's not a lot of substance to it. It is just the battles that you go through, and there's no real story to it. And yeah, it's just not a traditional Kirby game, which some people might really love. I personally liked it at first, and then the more I played of it, the more I disliked. I struggled with the last boss a bit. It was a bit tricky. And yeah, if you don't like one of the mini games, you're kind of screwed because you kind of have to play them all. So I think that was one of the things I didn't like about the game. But if you want to play it, play it. It's not an expensive game to pick up. I'm going to try and play all the Kirby games because I'm obsessed with them now. But I think I may have played some of the best ones already. So hopefully I won't be too disappointed with some of the others. But yeah, it's okay. It's not a bad game by any means. I was just a little bit disappointed by it. But yeah, I finished it. So that's 5 Kirby games. But yeah, I am definitely going to be getting more of the DS games now. Really got obsessed with them, and I eventually want to work my way back and do sort of the Game Boy games and some of the SNES games as well. But yeah, just absolutely fallen in love with the Kirby series, and I can't believe that I never got into them before because they're definitely my types of games. But yeah, really happy that I did, and I will be playing more in future. Now, I didn't want to be overly positive about all the games that I've played, so I have included one that I really didn't enjoy, and that was LEGO Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. Now, if you don't know anything about this, it's basically all of the Star Wars films into one game, but it's not a remaster of the older games put into one. It's a remake, a reimagining of all of them. You have a huge open world, which is really cool, but it felt very, very empty. And the stories have been really, really condensed into pretty much like a half-hour worth of gameplay, which if you just want to get through these stories and you just want to play all like the collectibles, that's fine. But the collectibles, there was just too much of it and it was a bit overwhelming. And I really like them for the stories, and that was just completely lacking in this game. It felt a little bit rushed, it felt empty, it just lacked a lot of the charm that I love about the LEGO games. Obviously Star Wars, such a great franchise, and I've loved some of the previous LEGO Star Wars games that I've played. I played them on the Advance, I've played them on the PlayStation, and I've absolutely loved them. This had none of the charm, unfortunately for me. It felt very commercial, I think, is probably one of the better words to go for. And yeah, it just, they focused too much on the open world, which just didn't work with this because there was just too much of it and I just couldn't be bothered with it. It was overwhelming. And yeah, it was a bit disappointed. I really, really had to slog through this game, and it wasn't even a long game, but it felt like a slog. Every sort of like half hour that I played felt like 2 hours playing this game. It just wasn't that great. I'm not saying it's an awful game by any means, just not very good. I would have expected a little bit more from the LEGO franchise, and yeah, definitely not the best LEGO Star Wars game, and definitely not the best LEGO game by any stretch. So yeah, I would probably give this a miss, even if you're a fan of the franchise. I just don't think it's worth it. But yeah, that was my most disappointing game of the year. Now, I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of indie games as well, because I don't really talk about them much, but I do play quite a few indie games. It's just because they tend to be quite small games that I get on sale often, so often there's not a lot to talk about. But there's 2 I wanted to mention. So first one is Arise that I finished recently. It's a really, really beautiful little game. It's really atmospheric. It's got a story there, but there's no dialogue. You have this really beautiful looking world. It reminded me a lot of Journey, and you basically use rewinding sort of time and seasons to basically unlock bits of puzzles. So it's kind of like a puzzly adventure game. You have to kind of go through all these different obstacles, and you use those time mechanics to change the obstacles. So for example, a tree might fall over in the wind and you might need to get to another platform, so you'll use that tree to get there. It's things like that. It's not an overly complicated game. Sometimes the controls got a tiny bit frustrating, but other than that, it was a really, really beautiful game. I really recommend playing it. It only took me like an hour, maybe 2 to complete it, but it was just a really beautiful, relaxing game to sit down with. It's definitely got a bit of replayability there if you just want to sit down and chill with a game for a little bit. I thought it was really, really beautiful. I really recommend it. I got it on sale on my Switch. I think it cost me less than £1, and you can just play it in one sitting. And sometimes it's nice to have a bit of a palate cleanser from the really big, massive, graphic, open world games that you have. So yeah, it was a lovely game to play. And then another indie game that I thought was really, really lovely was one called Vember. Now this one has kind of a more it's more like a visual novel, but it has some mechanics in it which are cooking. So again, very, very short story, but it has a really beautiful, vibrant art style. It's like this lovely hand-drawn style, very, very pretty game. And basically the story is you're going through sort of some cultural immigration there. So I think it was an Indian family moving to the States and sort of exploring their difficulties with immigrating through cooking and sort of seeing their family changing and how everything, you know, happens in their lives and sort of the disappointments, the excitement, all the different struggles that people who immigrate to different countries go through. And I thought it was really moving, and you got to see bits of cultural food. I learnt about some new dishes that I'd not heard of, and it just really made your mouth water seeing the foods that were there. And yeah, it was a really fun mechanic. Like I said, not super engaging gameplay. It's more like a visual novel, but you just have little bits of cooking in between. But really beautiful story. It was really relaxing to play, very moving story. And again, it only took me about an hour to play through. So really lovely game to just sit down and play in one evening, in one sitting. If you don't have a lot of time or you don't know what games to play, lovely game to play. Again, I think it cost me like £5, so it wasn't an expensive game at all, and I'm definitely going to replay it because it's got lots of trophies that you can unlock on it as well, so it's got nice like replayability as well, so I recommend playing it. Again, really, really beautiful game. So next up is my favourite purchase of the year with a game, and I picked out two, and I think you'll probably know what the answer is. So the first one, of course, is going to be Freestar. What a lovely game, such a great platformer, it's so well detailed. Very, very 90s, early 2000s aesthetic. It's very, very colourful, crazy, all over the place. The story is pretty mental. You're working as a star that's going through all these different worlds. But yeah, I really love all the levels. All the levels have got slightly different mechanics to them. So they introduced new enemies, new obstacles to get around. It's so much fun. It's such a great game. And yeah, it was on my Holy Grail list and I finally got it. And yeah, absolutely love this game and cannot recommend it enough. If you can't get your hands on the Megadrive or Genesis version, it is in some of the Megadrive collection games on like the Switch and stuff like that. So you can access this game on modern consoles if you so wish. I do recommend you give it a go. It's a really, really great game. And of course, another one that's not going to be a surprise to anyone who watches this channel is, of course, I finally got Skies of Arcadia on the Dreamcast. Now, this game is very pricey on the Dreamcast, so that's why it's been on my list for so long. I haven't yet played it, so I can't say anything about it, but I've really wanted this game and I'm dying to play it, but I'm telling myself I can't until I finish Grandia 2, so that's what I'm going to do. But I'm really excited to play it. I'm really in the mood for like old RPGs at the moment, so excited. It looks brilliant. Everyone that I talk to about it says it's an amazing game as well, so yeah, so excited to have it in my collection finally, and yeah, really, really excited to play it too. If you want to see my collection videos about this, you can check out my video when I went to Retro Games HQ in Swindon. I'll leave the link up here so you can watch that video in more detail. I recommend you give Pete's shop a visit if you can. Really amazing shop, and yeah, just blows my mind every time I go there. It's a really great shop, and that's where I got this from. So yeah, if you're after some rare games, he's the shop to go to. So games to play and look forward to in 2023. So obviously there's another Like a Dragon coming out, which is Infinite Wealth. I've already spoken about it in my PlayStation 5 video again, but I'm so excited for it. It's set in Hawaii, looks amazing, looks even wackier than the previous one, and like I said, I absolutely adore those games anyway, so any new game that comes out, I'm going to be all over it, which is going to be the same with this one. And yeah, I'm very, very excited for it, and it comes out in March, so that will be pretty much most of my March and the rest of the year sorted. But as far as retro games go, I am still playing through Grandia 2, which I'm still really, really enjoying. I'm loving this game. I've sunk about 25 hours into it. I have no idea how far away I am from the end. I have a feeling I'm maybe sort of like 3/4 of the way through, hopefully. But yeah, really great game. It's got a lot of battling in it. You know, it's kind of like a standard RPG, but I am loving it. It's a really, really great game. I was hoping to finish it this year, but I didn't get around to it. Just time, and it took a lot longer to play than I had hoped. But yeah, looking forward to finishing this game finally, and then there's other games that I want to get around to playing next, which I will go on to soon. Another game that I kind of keep picking up and love it when I pick it up and I forget to play it is Rayman 2. Hopefully I can finally finish this game in 2024. I thought it was such a beautiful platformer. It runs really, really well on the Dreamcast. I've chatted about it loads. I've got to quite a fair point in the game, but yeah, like I said, I got completely swept up with Grandia 2, but that will be next on my list to finish finally. And yeah, I love this game. It's such a great game. So other games that I'm hoping to finish playing or start playing. So I've just started playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which I'm really enjoying so far. It feels a bit kiddie compared to other games, but it's got some really different mechanics in it that I am enjoying. And yeah, it's just a really fun game. It's kind of a bit more of a reimagining of the Mario games. And yeah, so far it's really fun. That's one I will probably finish playing soon. Then another game that I'm looking forward to playing is the other Kirby game. So more Kirby games. And any new ones that come out I will be playing. I'm just waiting for one of them to be back in stock to purchase it as well. So before I end this video, that pretty much concludes all the games that I've played and all the ones that I've enjoyed playing, but just wanted to chat about where the channel will go in 2024. Now, I will continue doing what I've been doing, so I've been trying to release a video at least every month, more if I can, but sometimes life's too busy so I don't get a chance to. I'm hoping to do a lot more short form content, so uploading to shorts, maybe doing like little bits about my collection, maybe a little bit of history about some of the games, so that's something that I'm going to be trying to do as well. I am moving in January, or this month rather, so things are going to be very, very busy. I don't know when my next video will come out. I do have one video planned for January, which is going to be going to Cardiff and sort of having an explore around, going to different shops, seeing what we can pick up there and just sort of like a fun video there. But other than that, my next video will probably be the move and documenting the move, documenting my collection, and then giving a bit of a tour of the new game room, which I'm really, really excited to. So I'm moving from Wiltshire over to Nottingham City. So big move. Yeah, it's about 3 hours away from where I am now, so it's a really big move for me, but as far as life goes, it'll be positive. I've changed my job, it's nearer to my new job. It's also nearer to my partner's family as well, his friends and everything, so it would just be nicer to be nearer to people. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. The house is going to be completely different as well. I'm very excited to explore a new area, so I'm definitely going to be doing lots of new videos about exploring different cities, new shops that I've never been to before, game shops. And yeah, I'm really excited for what the content will be in future. I'm hoping to get out and about a lot more. Like I said, hoping to do a lot more short form content as well, so that in between the big videos like this one, you'll have lots of content coming your way too. So yeah, no major changes for the channel, but I'm hoping to just improve the quality, improve sort of the different types of videos that I'm doing as well. And yeah, just have lots of fun with content, which is what it's all about. But that concludes the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a lovely holidays and a lovely New Year's, and I wish you all the best for 2024 as well. And thank you for sticking with me for another year too. In the meantime, don't forget to follow me on the socials, links down below, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.